Temples of Faqra is an archaeological site in Kvardibian, Lebanon, with Roman and Byzantine ruins. Located near the Faqra ski resort on the slopes of Mount Sanin at an altitude of 1,500 meters, and exactly halfway between Berytus and Heliopolis, the two main Roman cities in Roman Phoenicia. It is one of the most important sites of the UNESCO-listed Valley of Nahr al-Kalb, the classical Lycus River. The ruins are the most extensive Roman archaeological site in Mount Lebanon and consists of columns, altars, tombs and temples. They are divided into three sectors. That of the Claudius Tower and the monumental altars, on the hill to the north. That of the small temple, to the south and below, towards the stream of Naba al-Labn. And that of the great sanctuary, between the first two. The remains of an ancient settlement, Roman and perhaps Proto-Byzantine, are visible near the tower and between the small temple and the large sanctuary. The little Roman settlement was probably made mainly by Roman veterans of the two legions settled by Augustus in Berytus, the 5th Macedonian and the 3rd Gallic. The area of Faqra was located within the Roman district of Berytus. It was linked to the tentative of Romanization of the area around Berytus, that was done by the Romans in the 1st and 2nd centuries in order to strengthen their Roman Empire in the eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea. Faqra is also situated along one of the roads from the coast to Baalbek, high up the western Lebanese mountain range. On a hill in a landscape full of bizarre rocks, there are 4 altars, one of them rebuilt during the reign of the Emperor Claudius and therefore named Tower of Claudius. You can also find a large altar, a nicely restored small altar, and the remains of a destroyed altar. A bit lower on a slope, to the south of actual Faqra, are the remains of 2 ancient temples. The largest of these is dedicated to Adonis and the other one to Atargatis, the Syrian goddess. This sanctuary can be dated to the second half of the 1st century, under Emperor Claudius. The Great Sanctuary is nestled in the Dolomitic limestone formations, between the tower sector to the north and that of the small temple to the south. Its peribolous wall delimits an enclosure approximately 75 meters long and 35 meters wide, with the long sides to the north and south. This portico was recently restored. Clearing the area east of the enclosure revealed a limestone altar tower measuring approximately 4.3 meters by 4.1 meters, devoid of moldings at the base and crowned with an Egyptian gorge. A large door fitted in the middle of the facade of the peribola gives access to the sanctuary. The interior space of the temenos is divided into 2 parts, a paved courtyard, roughly square and bordered by Tuscan porticos on 3 sides, precedes the upper terrace where the temple rises, beyond a flight of staircase covering the entire width of the sanctuary. The remains of a monumental sandstone and limestone altar are preserved in the courtyard, slightly offset to the south from the median axis of the temple. The temple is aligned with the median axis of the peribolus. It rests on a solid foundation and not on a real podium. It was a hexastyle prostyle temple of the Corinthian order, about 40 meters long and 18 meters wide, with a pronaos and a long cella at the bottom of which rose the platform of an adyton. The walls of the building are built in double apparatus, mainly with blocks cut in the yellow ochre sandstone, while the prostyle consists of blocks of gray limestone. Julie Yasmin date the construction of the sanctuary in the middle of the 1st century, under Emperor Claudius. The attribution of the sanctuary to the Heliopolitan Jupiter is admitted also by other archaeologists, like D. Krenker and W. Schietzmann. In late antiquity, the last mentioned shrine was partly dismantled, and a Byzantine basilica was built next to it. The foundations of this Byzantine church in Mazrik-Farzebian were discovered in the early 60s during excavation works. It looks like it's laying against the northern wall of Atargatis temple. Experts think the church was built in the 5th or 6th century, when Christianity became the state religion in the Byzantine state at the beginning of the 5th century. The destruction of pagan temples was then allowed, and those temples were sometimes turned into churches. The temple of Atargatis was too small for its new religious functions. This is probably why the Byzantine church was annexed. It was built on a rectangular plan and it measures about 23.5 meters by 12.5 meters. The outside walls of the church are mainly made of limestone blocks. Roman Faqra includes the famous Claudius Tower with its Greek and Latin inscriptions that state that the building, which at one time was topped with a pyramid-shaped roof like Camus el Hermel, was renovated by the Roman Emperor Claudius in honor of Adonis in CE 43–44, and that's the reason of its name. Also, we should mention that the tower has a 16 square base. It rests on a cubic plinth of 15.67 meters on each side where two openings have been made, halfway up, perpendicular to the eastern side of the Claudius Tower. An external staircase of 18 steps leads to the main door, while another, smaller door is at ground level in the southeast corner. On the upper course of the plinth rest two steps, where stands the floor decorated with pilasters topped with capitals with brackets. The pilasters support a Doric entablature, crowned by a cornice adorned with a Taurus and an Egyptian throat. A loggia opens onto the eastern facade, directly above the main entrance. A system of narrow corridors and sideways spiral staircases allows circulation inside the building and ends in a small rectangular room in the central core of the matched masonry block. The monument is essential a large platform, a high place of worship, where large animals could have been sacrificed. This means that the platform had to be accessible, and there are indeed stairs inside the large stone cube. More famous examples of this type of structure are the altar towers in the Great Court in front of the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek. The unusual appearance of the building has sometimes led to the tower being considered as a tomb, or as a monumental altar. That is the most common opinion of archaeologists, but also others view it as a lookout post coupled with an honorary monument. Temples of Fakra always will be cherished as one of Lebanon's archaeological treasures, standing tall throughout the ages.